Hello once again, fellow Unity developers, and welcome back to our making a bullet hell game in Unity. So, last tutorial we got our road moving. Now I think it's time to get some projectiles and some enemies. But before we do that, I just have one small change to make to the camera, and we'll see why later on. But for now, we'll just change our projecting to be perspective, and our Z to be -14. Now, on our bullet hell player script, we want to be able to shoot. So we'll make a new function called private void shoot, and we'll want to be able to detect this when the player presses the left mouse button. So what we'll do is we'll go in our take input function, and we'll type if input.getKey keycode.mouse0, and what this will detect is the left mouse press. So we'll just call our shoot function here, copy that over. Alright, perfect. So much like the road that we made in the last episode, we want to be able to instantiate projectiles. So we'll need to create a projectile prefab game object. So let's add a reference to our projectile prefab in our player here at the very top. So we'll go public game object projectile prefab. Alright. Now we'll actually want to go about making this prefab. So we'll go back into Unity. We're going to right click in our hierarchy, F2 to rename, and we'll go projectile. Now for this projectile, we want to add a child component with a sprite render. So we'll make a child called sprite. We'll add a sprite render 2D as a component. That's the wrong one. And we'll use another default sprite. I think the size is fine here, but we'll just color it yellow to differentiate it from the player. Also, we'll want a box collider 2D. So put that there. And we'll want to check this is trigger box. And now for size, we'll go 0.1, 0.1. We'll also want to create a new script here. So we'll make a new script called projectile. Create and add. Now, just while we're inside this, the Unity editor here, we'll just right click in our prefabs folder, create a new prefab. We'll call this projectile. And then we'll drag our projectile onto this prefab here. So projectiles in this game are going to work in a very simple way, and that is you're just going to travel in the direction that they're pointing in, and they're going to have a certain speed and certain damage. So let's go into our projectile script, and here we'll need only two things. So we need a public float speed for how fast it's going to go, and a public float damage for how much damage it's going to do. So in order to get this to move forward, what we have to do is we go for transform position plus equals transform that up, and since we're working in 2D, this is transform that up, but if this was 3D, this would be transform that forward. So we multiply this transform that up by our speed, and we multiply it by our old friend time.delta time. So what this will do is, in the direction that it's facing, it's going to get multiplied by our speed and our time.delta time to move forward. Okay, perfect. Now we'll get rid of our start function since we don't need it, and we'll go back into the Unity editor. So inside our bullet prefab, we can actually set the speed and damage now. So we'll set our speed to be something maybe like 10, and our damage to be 10 too. So now projectile should fly straight at whatever it's being pointed at, and there you can see it fly off into the distance. So what we want to do is we want to instantiate this projectile at the player's position, and then change its rotation to be wherever the player is pointing at. So we can get rid of this projectile from our inspector now, or from our hierarchy rather. And in our bullet hell player, we can drag in our projectile prefab. Okay. In order to make our bullets face a particular direction, we need 2 points, our from and our to, and you also need the help of a little script. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click, create a new C# script, and we're going to call this util, util. We'll go into that, and we'll actually get rid of everything here, and we'll even get rid of this mono behavior because we don't need any of that. And I'm just going to paste some code in, so I'm just going to paste this in. So what does this do? This is just the function that I found on Stack Overflow because my maths isn't good enough to write this myself, but I can explain to you how this does work. Okay, so with the help of my good friend here, MS Paint, I'm going to try and explain this. So let's say we have a vector 0, 0 at the origin, and then we have another vector 3, 0. So when we subtract these two vectors, we get a difference. And then when we normalize that difference, what we actually end up with is a direction vector. And I'm going to draw the direction vector here now. So this direction vector has no distance. This is just the direction between 2 points. Now, for us, it's very easy to tell that this is a rotation of 90 degrees. But for a computer, what we actually use is line 12 and 13, and that's what's going to turn this direction into a rotation. Okay, now, so if you go back into our player script, we'll be able to use this knowledge that we just have to get a bullet to rotate wherever the player is pointing at. So we have the from position, which is going to be our player's location, but the to position, what we actually need to do here is we need to get the player's mouse position and convert that to a world point. So luckily Unity has a handy function if we call on a camera screen to world point. So what we're going to type here is camera.main.screen to world point, and we pass in a new vector 3, and inside this vector 3 we'll put in our input.mouseposition.x, input.mouseposition.y, and we'll put in 14. And what 14 is the distance from our camera to 0. So our camera is at, I believe, minus 14. So this is why we put 14 here. I'll just name it 2. Alright. Next, what we'll actually want to do is to instantiate our projectile. So we'll go game object projectile equals instantiate projectile prefab, and we'll pass in this .transform.position and quaternion.identity. Okay, so we spawned a bullet at the player, but we haven't rotated it yet. So this is where that handy function that we created will come into play, and we'll actually be using it several times throughout this project. So what we can do is projectile.transform.rotation equals util.lookat2d, and we can go this.transform.position and 2. So we pass in our from and our 2, and then we're going to get a rotation created first for this bullet. So let's save that, and we'll go in Unity and see what it does. So now you can see when we left click, we're actually able to spray bullets all around. And it seems that the bullets are going behind our ground here, but we'll be able to fix that. So if you go into prefabs, projectile, we press this little arrow here to open it up. And on our sprite, we can set 20, just like our player. So now that we've set our bullets sprite order to be 20, we can go in game and check it out. So perfect, we're able to spray bullets all around. Of course, it's not perfect because we are firing every single frame, and this can get a bit laggy, and the projectiles are not despawning, so that's have this huge list of projectiles here. But these are things to address in the next video, and that's all for now. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.